Julia and Hawa's weekly talk. Today we're discussing one of America's most famous unsolved cases, the self-named Zodiac Killer.
Just a heads up, viewer discretion. Discretion is advised. If you get easily scared easily, or feel uncomfortable with topics like death and blood, you might want to click off this podcast now. Let's dive into the mystery.
August 1st, 1969, the San Francisco Examiner and the Alejandro Times Journal each received an identical handwritten letter in an envelope with no return address. The letter began, "Dear editor, I am the killer of 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman." The letters contain details from the Zodiac Killer's murders that only the killer could have known.
What's even more chilling is that the killer threatened more attacks if the letter were printed on the front page of the newspaper. Each letter closed with a symbol, a circle with a cross through it, what would later become known as the Zodiac Killer's signature symbol.
Oh, and let's not forget, each letter also came with a piece of a 3-part cipher, which the Zodiac claimed contained his identity. While the police, with support from the FBI, worked hard to track him down, another letter soon arrived at the San Francisco Examiner.
This time it started with, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." In it, he did some more of his murders and taunted the police for being unable to crack his code or catch him. Pretty bold, right?
Yeah, super bold. Just a few days later, high school teacher Donald Hardin and his wife Betty managed to solve the cipher. The chilling message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild animals in the forest because the man is the most dangerous animal of them all."
3 days after the 4th known Zodiac Killer, the murderer of taxi driver Paul Stein in 1969, the San Francisco Chronicle got another letter. This one gave all the details of Stein's murder, and it even came with a bloody piece of Stein's shirt. Can you imagine that?
And at the end of the letter, the Zodiac threatened to shoot the tires of his school bus and quote unquote pick off the kiddies as they came bouncing out. It is truly horrifying.
The Zodiac Killer kept up his taunting correspondence with Bay Area papers, sending more ciphers, claiming additional murders and mocking the police for their inability to catch him. But in 1974, the letters stopped, although the investigation continued to this day.
4 confirmed attacks involving 7 victims have been definitively attributed to the Zodiac Killer. The first incident happened on December 20th, 1968, when 17-year-old David Farnay and his 6-year-old girlfriend Betty Lou Jensen were shot to death near their car on Lake Hernan Road in Alejandro, California. The police had no idea what the motive was and were left baffled.
Then on July 5th, 1964, Darlene Ferrin, 22, and her boyfriend Mike, 19, were shot while sitting in the parking car in the remote area of Illegal. Farron was killed and Mike was seriously wounded, but he survived within an hour of the incident. A man called the police, claiming responsibility for the attack and the 1968 murders.
Even though there was plenty of evidence, fingerprints, and a description from Mike, the decoded cipher, and a flood of tips, the police still couldn't track down the Zodiac Killer.
He struck again on September 27, 1969, when he approached a couple, Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell, at Lake Berryessa in Napa County. He tied them up, stabbed them brutally, and even swallowed a message on their car door. He then called the police to claim responsibility.
Both Shepard and Hartnell were in critical condition when emergency services arrived, but sadly Shepard didn't survive her injuries.
Just 2 weeks after, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac claimed another victim, 29 years old, taxi driver Paul Stein, At first, the police thought it was a robbery, but that changed when the San Francisco Chronicle received a letter from the Zodiac claiming credit for the murder.
What's even crazier is that at least 5 other murderers have been tentatively linked to the Zodiac, including the 1963 murders of Robert Amigos and Linda Edwards near Santa Barbara, and the 1966 stabbing of Sherry Joe Bates in Riverside, California.
In recent years, a TikToker claimed that his grandfather matched the famous sketch of the Zodiac Killer. However, authorities haven't confirmed this. Over a decade, several people have been thought to be the Zodiac Killer, but none of these claims have been proven true.
The mystery of the Zodiac Killer remains unsolved, but it continues to captivate people around the world. Maybe one day we'll have the answers we're looking for.
Until then, the legend of the Zodiac Killers live on.
That's all for today's episode of Julia and Hawa's Weekly Talk. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with another deep dive into an unsolved case.
Stay tuned and have a great day.